How much do people avoid places they've never been? And why? A new paper studies this question among casual workers in Nairobi, Kenya. The authors start by documenting large gaps in spatial familiarity. The median participant has never visited about half the neighborhoods within 75 minutes of home, even though they've heard of nearly all of them. These familiarity patterns are largely idiosyncratic, not driven by observable neighborhood or individual characteristics. To measure the cost of unfamiliarity, the researchers offer one-day air pollution monitoring jobs in different neighborhoods across the city. They recruit approximately 800 casual workers from 3 low-income neighborhoods. First, they randomize where participants are trained, some in neighborhoods they've never visited, others in familiar ones. The task requires being in a specific location, making it natural to vary where participants work. After the training, the researchers then ask participants to choose, for each workday, between jobs that vary in location, wage, distance, and duration. The paper finds a large familiarity premium. Participants sacrifice about 22% of the median daily wage, around 112 Kenyan shillings, to avoid working in a neighborhood they've never been to. Equivalently, they are willing to travel an extra 3.5 kilometers to work in familiar territory. A single 1-hour visit during training is enough to completely eliminate this premium. After being randomly assigned to visit an unfamiliar neighborhood once during training, participants treat it the same as neighborhoods they were already familiar with. The ratio of the exposure effect to the baseline familiarity premium is 0.97. Workers partly anticipate this effect. Before actually visiting, but after learning where they will be trained, they already adjust their job choices. Approximately 2/3 of the full exposure effect is anticipated before the visit occurs. So why do workers avoid unfamiliar neighborhoods? It's not that unfamiliar places are actually worse. The fact that a single visit fully eliminates the premium rules that out. And it's not that workers are simply uncertain about what they'll find. The large anticipation effect is hard to square with pure learning. The paper also rules out navigation costs. Travel time differences are small and unaffected by training, and only 6% of participants report getting lost. Instead, the results point to a perceived fixed cost of going somewhere new for the first time. Workers behave as though there's a one-time hurdle to visiting a new place, and once it's cleared, it doesn't come back. Whether that cost reflects miscalibrated beliefs about visiting unfamiliar places for the first time, or a psychological effort cost, remains an open question. The paper also examines whether exposure shapes what workers even think of as options. For the results discussed so far, the researchers presented participants with specific neighborhood choices to see how they would trade off familiarity versus other attributes like wages. But in the real world, people have to come up with options themselves. To study whether exposure affects that process, the researchers asked the other half of study participants to list where they would most like to work, without providing them options. The results show that unfamiliar neighborhoods are also much less likely to come to mind. People struggle to consider places they haven't been as potential work locations, and a single visit partially reverses this gap. So exposure not only affects preferences over neighborhoods, but also whether those neighborhoods are considered at all. So, casual workers in Nairobi have never visited about half the neighborhoods near their homes, and they're willing to pay a real price to keep it that way, sacrificing a significant amount of money and time to avoid doing a task in an unfamiliar location. Yet a single 1-hour visit is enough to eliminate this aversion entirely, pointing to a perceived fixed cost of going somewhere new that, once paid, doesn't come back. And it's not just preferences. Exposure also shapes which places come to mind as options at all. For the full paper and additional results, visit the author's websites.